Hey, what's going on everyone? Vega here for SerpentX Tech. And well, I made not a lapse in judgment, and it's not a mistake. I knew what I was dealing with, and I was just trying to make it last with what I got. But anyways, let me just get into it and show you what we're dealing with here. So over here, we got the fog hashing side panels off, right? So here's the top. There's the front, little LCD that you would use. Actually, there's a board on the back there that's just connected via 5-pin. That lets you do all the control, and it's just a single button. But if you look very carefully, you can start to see what I'm about to lead to. Let me show you. So with the panels off, you can see it's basically like a frame, almost like a mining frame. It even has little connections that you might have seen on a Vega or some of the more common mining frames out there. And then there's a steel container in here with some support, you know, keep everything nice and safe, stuff like that. Take off the panels, you open it up to where you can see, but if we look at the back here, you're going to start to see a problem, right? So the M30S runs off of the C19 port. This is really made for an S17, you know, S19 XP, ASICs that have dual, you know, C13 to C14 ports. But in this case, I'm adapting one to a C19, and I knew the risk. It's not Foghashing's fault. I knew the risk. I couldn't source one that was dual port to C19. So what's funny about this, I was just talking to Gandalf Gray in Discord about it earlier today at time of recording. And I came out here and I caught it. And unfortunately, this port is done. And if we look in the back here, you will see the crispy wires. There they are. So it wasn't the cable. The cable's thick gauge. It can handle the amps. But unfortunately, the connection in the back, you know, because these, again, is made for, you know, S19, maybe an L7. It was a risk, and I took the risk, but I'm going to bypass it. These wires right here are actually connected to that board. If you can see it right back there, proprietary board probably. That connector that you see right here is what goes to the front panel, and then these wires right here terminate into there. So I'm gonna go find them, disconnect it, and I'm gonna try to see if I can get this crusty ass power port out of here. You can see it even burnt the ground just a little bit on that side. So yeah, we need to figure out something, and it's all my fault, not Foghashing's fault. It's all my fault. I'll deal with it, no problem. But definitely a risk that I don't recommend anybody else do, because I knew the risk. I was prepared for, you know, like I had multiple safeties in place, you know, multiple trips in place. So if it did catch it, you know, we would be good to go. But yeah, so I'm gonna clean this up. I'm gonna try to get this port out of here. It's really crusty. This cable's done. And then try to piece it back together. I'm just gonna go direct C19. Try to go through this hole here so I can put the lid back on, because I don't want to leave the lid off, because dust does make this thing look much dirtier. And I think I found out why the liquid's a little bit tinted, and that is because of the smokiness of this electrical fire that happened with this port. So unfortunate, but it is resolvable. Container still works and everything. Here's the 5-pin port that, or excuse me, 6-pin that plugs into the LCD in the front. You hit the button, everything cranks up, it circulates, everything works for the container. It's just that port that's donezo. So let me see what I can do, and I'll bring you back once resolved. So we made some changes, but before I show you what we got, you can see right in there actually completely melted both powers, and that's actually a piece of the ground. So let me show you some of the changes I did, but this power port got melted pretty good. And the gauge of the wire looks really good actually. Maybe not as thick as the, you know, this guy right here, but the C19, the C20, but you know, it was really the clips that failed. Everything else looks good. Got a little bit of oil down there, had to clean it up. Got most of the burnt residue cleaned up, and then I have the C20 to C19 actually going through the same hole, so that way I can put the lid back on. And I am ready to power this thing on. Obviously, you want, like the way I have it set up is the wires are just above the oil. This Ethernet got dipped in somehow. So now that's really brittle and really rough. So if you try to bend it in this state, it will break. So I'm trying to keep oil off of these cables. Looks like there's a little bit on there. I'm gonna have to wipe that down. But we're ready to try to power it on and take a look. Got these disconnected for now. I could always replace the power port later. All right, so we are hashing just fine. I do got a liquid error warning, and that's because the Whatsminer M30S Plus requires the liquid to be so high, higher than what a S19 XP or L7 might need. And I'm just gonna keep an eye on things, monitor it over for a while. I do want to seal up this back hole eventually. And it's not the wiring that failed, it's not my cable that failed, it was the connectors on the back side of these guys right here that failed. No fault of Foghashing, just really impatience. It wasn't a mistake, it was again impatience. I should have just waited to properly source everything. Me and Gandalf Gray were talking about it offline, but we're showing 16.2 amps. And if you do go with the Foghashing C1, C2 kit, and you don't have the typical ASIC with dual C13, C14 connections, and it's only one C19, make sure you either source an adapter that splits two of them into one C19, or just bypass it and go straight to C20 to C19. But that's gonna do it for today's video. Again, just impatience, not really a mistake on my part, just impatience. I knew the risk. It was running fine for months, but it was only a matter of time. I'll repair the connector in a future video, like if I eventually get an L7, which I'm still trying to source, or a KDA, or even a newer generation ASIC that requires two C14s and C19s, then I'll repair that connector and I'll bring you back for another video. But do me a favor, hit the like button on the way out, make sure to get subscribed, hit the notification bell to stay up to date, as well as check out links in the description to help support the channel and what we do here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.